If you ask me what's the next biggest event to watch in CCP politics, I'd say it's the Beijing's September 3rd military parade. All eyes are on the parade. Well, CCP parades aren't just about showing off missiles and tanks. They are political theater. They are also a weather vane of power struggles. In every CCP military parade, the parade marshal is crucial. Think of him as the conductor who pulls everything together. And he is the one who sits in the car right beside the parade chief commander. That's Xi Jinping in this case. This year, that means sitting next to Xi Jinping in the front passenger seat. Right? There will be the driver, and then there's the parade marshal sitting next to the driver, and Xi Jinping is in the back seat. That's the usual arrangement. But in 2025, the identity of the parade marshal has become a political mystery. Traditionally, the role has always gone to a senior general. Let's take a look at the history. So in 1953, after the CCP seized power, it was, guess who? Zhang Youxia's father, General Zhang Zhongxun, who was the deputy chief of staff at the time. He was the parade marshal. And then fast forward to 1984, when Deng Xiaoping, then 80, inspected the troops, it was Qin Jiwei, commander of the Beijing military region. And then in 2009, Hu Jintao was parade leader. And then his parade marshal was Fang Fenghui, who was the commander of the Beijing military region. And then in 2015, Xi Jinping, it was the first time Xi Jinping was as the parade leader, his parade marshal was a guy by the name of Song Puxuan, who was also the Beijing military region commander. And then came 2019, when Xi Jinping inspected the troops, his marshal was Yi Xiaoguang, commander of the Central Theater Command. So the pattern is clear. Before Xi Jinping's military reforms, the marshal was almost always the Beijing military region commander. After Xi Jinping's reforms, it shifted to the Central Theater commander. So here we are in 2025. The CCP has confirmed that Xi Jinping will review the troops, but curiously, they haven't named the marshal. By convention, it should be the Central Theater commander. Problem is, no one knows who that is. Last July, official reports said that Huang Ming, the Central Theater commander at the time, had been transferred to the Northern Theater. And then came rumors that Wang Qiang, the Northern Theater commander, had been reassigned to replace Huang Ming. So the two basically swapped jobs, right? The commander of the Northern and the Central commands swapped their jobs, but one was confirmed. As far as who actually assumed the role of the commander of the Central Command, it was only a rumor. And then this man, Xu Deqing, is officially listed as the Central Theater political commissar, but the commander's chair is still empty. Is Wang Qiang really the commander of the Central Theater and the new marshal in waiting? That's where it gets murky. People do not believe he is. This is because at the Army Day reception on July 31st in the Great Hall of the People, remember I told you 9 full generals were absent, included the commander, the suspected commander of the Central Command and its political commissar. So Wang Qiang and Xu Deqing were both missing from that key event. So their absence looks ominous. It suggests that they may already be finished, which means the Central Theater has no commander and no commissar, and no one to serve as parade marshal. Or the other possibility is it has a commander, has a commissar. It's just that they cannot be announced, because once they're announced, it does not put Xi Jinping in a good place. But let's just assume that they don't, because we have not heard anything. Now, could a deputy commander step in? Not anymore, because the Lieutenant General Li Zhizhong, who was the deputy commander of the Central Theater, was purged in February 2024. The National People's Congress stripped his delegate status and official confirmation of his downfall. So what about the Beijing garrison? Another traditional fallback, right? That door is shut too. Its last commander, Fu Wenhua, who is a close ally of Zhang Youxia, has been moved in March to the People's Armed Police as deputy commander. People believe he's playing the role of the commander because the commander has been missing. And his replacement as the head of the Beijing garrison, still unannounced. So here we are, just days away from the parade. Xi Jinping has been announced as the parade chief commander, but the marshal, the man who should sit beside him, signaling command and confidence, remains a mystery. And in Beijing's political theater, sometimes the loudest message isn't in the speeches or the slogans. Sometimes it's in the empty seat. And right now, there are a shocking number of empty seats in the PLA. Let me lay out the record. These are the confirmed purges of 4 generals. So they are former defense ministers, Wei Fenghe and Li Shangfu, former Air Force Commander Ding Laihang, former Rocket Force Commander Li Yuchao and Zhou Yaning, CMC Political Work Department Chief Miao Hua, former Strategic Support Force Commander Ju Ganshen, and former Rocket Force Political Commissar Xu Zhongbo. And these are the confirmed fallen lieutenant generals. They are former Rocket Force Deputy Commander Zhang Zhenzhong, Li Chuanguang, former Rocket Force Chief of Staff, former CMC Equipment Development Deputy Ministers, Zhang and Ju, former Army Deputy Commander, former Southern Theater Navy Commander, former Army Deputy Commander, former Central Theater Deputy Commander Li Zhizhong, the man I mentioned in my previous slide or even, before that. Okay, so now let's talk about confirmed major generals. Former Rocket Force Equipment Department Chief, former CMC Equipment Development Deputy Minister, former Rocket Force Equipment Department Deputy Minister. Yeah, there are 2 of them. Those are all confirmed. Now let's talk about disappeared ones. These are the ones who have been rumored to have been taken down, but there are no official confirmations yet. We have CMC Vice Chairman He Weidong, right? Former Army Political Commissar Qin Shutong, Navy Political Commissar Yuan Huazhi, Western Theater Commander Wang Haijiang, former Eastern Theater Command Lin Xiangyang. This is the man in charge of military operations against Taiwan. Southern Theater Commander Wang Xiubing, CMC Political and Legal Affairs Chief, CMC Political Work Department Executive Deputy Director He Hongjun, and then Armed Police Force Commander and its Political Commissar, Rocket Force Commander. I don't think I need to read you all the names because there are a lot. There they are. You could read the names. There includes some retired generals who were rumored to be taken down. And of course, the most famous one, Liu Yazhou, son-in-law of former state president Li Xiannian and former political commissar of the National Defense University, who was rumored to be given a life sentence for being against the military operations in the Taiwan Strait. So now we see why the parade marshal still hasn't been named. The truth is simple. The PLA is running out of leaders. The military is in the middle of yet another purge, right? Xi Jinping launched round after round of purges. Now Zhang Youxia is hitting back, purging Xi's allies. So no matter which side is doing it, the result is the same. The PLA leadership is in shambles. And add up the numbers. If you add up all the names that I showed you, the scale is staggering. Since the 20th Party Congress, and that's only 3 years ago, 44 senior generals have fallen in just 3 years. Of course, some are rumors, right? Some are not confirmed. But in CCP's business, when they do not come out to deny the rumors, that means they admitted them. And before that, during Xi Jinping's first decade of rule, so from 2012 to 2022, so in that 10 years, somebody did the tally. He took down about 160 generals. So in total, 200 generals purged under Xi. That's more than the casualties of a war, casualties of generals of a war. The purge has thrown into an army of its own. This is why Xi Jinping is deeply unpopular inside the PLA, and why people say he should be worried for his own safety on September the 3rd. And those numbers that I gave you don't even include demotions. So let me give you one example. So this man is Fang Yongxiang. Supposedly is the director of the CMC's general office. He is like the chief of staff for Xi Jinping in the military. And on August 20th, when Xi Jinping went to Tibet to visit Lhasa to attend the event, state media showed that he didn't go with Xi Jinping, but his deputy, Major General Qiu Yang, went in his place. So Fang himself was missing. Rumor in March and April already claimed that Fang Yongxiang had been sent to the Academy of Military Sciences. He's a close ally to the disgraced generals like Miao Hua and He Weidong, because they all came from Xi Jinping's old 31st Group Army in Fujian. Now, the CMC General Office Director is often called the Chief Steward of the military. He shadows the CMC Chairman, Xi Jinping, on all trips. He was last seen with Xi Jinping back on March 20th in Kunming. He accompanied him to Yunnan on that trip. But since then, he has disappeared. So there have been multiple whistleblowers claiming that he had been dismissed and quietly transferred. Think about it. These are Xi Jinping's closest military aides. They are now demoted, sidelined, or erased. And this is the cruel reality of the PLA. So who knows if things will look ugly on September the 3rd? Anything is possible.